Hello, in this video, I want to show you exactly how to start an online coaching business in this day and age. Now, my name is Matthew White, and in the last few years, I've built a coaching consulting business worth $4.2 million. And I want to share with you some of my insights and knowledge on what it's taken for us to get there and help you with some tools and resources for you to start your own online coaching business. Now, we specialize in helping coaches and consultants get to $100,000 per month and build world-class coaching or consulting businesses. We do this through simple systems that help to elevate the business very fast. We help to create business success 5 times faster, right? Now, in this video, I'm going to cover these core aspects, which I think are super important to you as a coach or consultant in starting an online coaching business. We're going to go through what it takes to find $100,000 per month avatar or niche. We're going to go through some of the mindset tools and hacks you need to build a successful coaching or consulting business. We're going to talk about creating a world-class $10,000 plus offer. We're going to talk about how to increase your status as a coach or consultant. And we're going to talk about delivery, how to effectively deliver so that you're creating an area where your clients are going to be super happy with how you're producing your product or your coaching program. This is a lot of information that I'm going to cover, so bear with me, but I can assure you that this is a video worth watching because there's a lot of golden nuggets in here that you'll be able to utilize. And if you're just getting started, these are the fundamental building blocks to doing it the right way. I struggled for many years with a lot of these things, trying to get clarity on what it took to build a world-class business. And this is about 10 to 15 years of information and knowledge distilled into this video. All right, so let's get stuck in. Let's start off with the core component. Why would anyone do an online coaching business, right? And the fundamentals that obviously it's a simpler way to do coaching when you're online, and it's easy to set up, easy to manage, easy to maintain. When you have systems in place, that's when it can really shine. But taking a step back, there are 4 core areas of the coaching industry, which I believe I've broken them into 4 core areas. So there's wellness, there is life and mind, right? Life and mind, there is performance, and there is business. So wellness, life and mind, performance, and business. These are the core most profitable areas that you could dive into as a coach consultant. And there's a multitude of opportunity and wealth of business profit to be made in all of these areas or sectors. Now, here's the thing. The online coaching space right now is valued at about $11.7 billion. $11.7 billion. That's the value of it, and it's increasing at a rapid pace. That's averages of numbers, depends on who you talk to, but around about 4.8% growth, which is staggering the online coaching space, right? So there's a lot of opportunity for you to dive into. Now, each of these have grown exponentially. The total growth of coaching since 2019 has been 64%. 64% of total growth across the world since 2019 to 2024, and it's exponentially growing every year. So there's a lot of opportunity. A lot of people, businesses, consultants, agencies are asking questions, need help to get results, to get solutions, and you can provide or help people get solutions. There is so much noise and confusion out there. It's pretty crazy. And this is why the online coaching space is so good, it's so lucrative. Because of all the noise, because of all the social media, because of all the media, because of all the craziness that's out there right now, the demand for help has never been so much. So if you're wondering whether it's the right thing for you to do, I say right now, it's the perfect moment. Right now is the perfect storm to be getting into coaching or consulting, and especially doing it online because there's a global market. When you can reach a global market, the chances of you finding those clients that are going to suit your kind of style and what you deliver is really, really big. There's a big pool out there. Now, to build a successful world-class coaching business and do it the right way, you need 3 pillars. The first pillar is equity. Equity means the value of what you deliver and who you are, right? It's important to understand that without equity, which is a foundational block, you're really going to struggle. The next thing, and obviously you need clients. And finally, you need control. These are the three core pillars of building a successful business, online or offline. If you're not having success, if there's a failure or a gap or a problem and you're not getting the results you want, you're not making that $100,000 per month mark in revenue, then one of these pieces is faulty and needs to be fixed. So when you're building your business or starting your business, understand you need to have these fundamental components. So equity is value. You need to have value in your business and people need to see you as valuable. You need clients. In order to get clients, you need to be able to attract and people need to be able to trust you. And when you have control, you need to have systems and processes and profit. You need to be able to make a profit consistently. All right, so these are important pillars. As a starting point, I want you to think about that as something you need to always be thinking about as you're growing your business. Now, when we talk about coaching businesses or online coaching businesses, there's two big separations that we need to make from the get-go to understand that, first of all, coaching is the love that you have, the passion that you have for the people that you want to change lives. And business is the profit side of things. Now, if you're not making a profit and you're doing all this work to set up a coaching business, what ends up happening to a lot of people is it just becomes an expensive hobby, right? You do not want to have an expensive hobby, because if you have an expensive hobby, you're not able to help that many people. You're going to just be in a cycle of spiraling downwards because there's no profit, right? There's no money to be made. So it's ultimately, in order to make an impact and serve more people, you need to have a business that's making profit, right? Profit is everything. And if you can work towards profit, once you get to profit, everything changes, right? You make profit, you can serve more people, you make more profit. And that cycle perpetuates. So always go into this coaching environment with the mindset of being a business individual. And when you do that the right way, it becomes so much happier and you can serve so many more people. And don't consider revenue as the profit. We're talking about pure profit. If you can make pure profit, that's a beautiful business. People that do that are the ones that have success. Now, there are certain tools when you're starting a coaching business, right? And you don't need a lot of tools. This is the beauty of doing an online coaching business, is that you don't need too much infrastructure to get set up and started. And fundamentally, you do need baseline products to have, or tools in place to have success or to get things started. As time grows, you'll add to this kind of toolkit, if you will. Now, when I started, I had the basics. I just had these few things. I had a camera, right? A camera which connected to my computer. These were the two fundamental starting points. And obviously I had a desk, but a camera and a computer, and your camera can be in your computer. I purchased a separate camera so that I could have it set up in a good way, but you need that as a starting point. It's very difficult to coach people if you don't have these, unless you're doing one-on-one coaching. But if you're online, you'll need these, right? So it goes without saying. The next you need, obviously, fast internet. Now, at about 50 megabytes per second, I'd say you'd be pretty good. These days, the internet's evolving so fast, the speeds are going insane. So depending on where you're located, you need at least about 50 megabytes per second to run a reasonable outfit, and you'll get some good results. I mean, I started with that and it was perfectly suitable. We're now at much, much higher speeds because we do big sessions and we've got lots of people streaming and we've got a team that we run, which is virtual. There's the whole lot goes with it, but we've grown from that point. The next set of tools you're going to need, you'll need a Facebook page and you need a YouTube channel. Do not underestimate the power of this. If you want to build a successful business, these are tools that you cannot do without. Between these two platforms, there's more than 200 billion views a month, 200 billion visits to these sites in a month. That's crazy. And so you need to be able to tap into those, and those are the biggest. You do not have to even look further than these two to find what you're looking for. So a Facebook page that's set up correctly, that has all your profiles set up in the right way, based around who you're going to serve, and we'll talk about that in a minute. A YouTube channel which follows suit. Now, whether you do personal branding or business branding, I don't think it really matters too much. I do business branding because it just helps so that one day, and this is what's happened to other businesses, is that we can step away from those businesses and they don't rely on us so heavily. If you do personal branding and everything's stuck to your personal name, it's really hard to transition or step away from a business and let it kind of run itself, which is ultimately what you're trying to get to. You're trying to get to that point where you run a business that can look after itself, because you don't want a business running you into the ground. And this is what we do with our clients. We help create systems that can elevate them out of their business. Okay, so you will need a video, some kind of video platform. I mean, there's a whole lot these days. There's Meet, there is Zoom, and etc. There's a whole lot of them, but you'll need a video conferencing tool. I recommend looking at the free ones. There's a lot of free options out there. I started off with a free Zoom account, and it works very well until I'd made my first 5 or 6 sales, and then I was like, well, I'm going to pay for this, get a higher level so we can do more. However, so you're going to be teaching people, right? If you're doing online coaching, you're going to have to be in front of people and talk to single individuals or groups of people. This is a quintessential tool that you need for this kind of business, right? I think that goes without saying. And so the next and most final thing that you do need, and I think this is super important, you need a landing page. You don't need a full website, in my opinion, but you do need a landing page where you can build trust. I've tried multiple different avenues. I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on ads, and by far, when you can send people to a landing page, you can get more done. It's just much more dynamic and it's focused, and people have one point of call to get to you. So these are the critical tools you'll need to get started building a world-class online coaching business. These are the starting points, the starting blocks. If you get these together, there's no doubt you can make $10,000, $20,000 a month easily just with these tools. I did it. This is how we got started. We didn't need anything more than this, and off we went. All right. If you're starting into coaching, or you're just, kind of dabbling around, maybe you got 1 or 2 clients, I don't know, you're in the space anyway, and you're passionate about wanting to do something, there is mindset tools that you need. It's an imperative component to having a successful business. There is no one that I know or have ever met in this world that has success that doesn't have their mindset in check. We as business individuals, entrepreneurs, have to have this in check in order to have success, because we've got people relying on us. We're going to run businesses that are going to be profitable. We're going to deal with staff. We're dealing with other individuals, our clients. All this stuff can wear you down if you have a good mindset that helps you become resilient, and you can weather all the stuff that comes with it. Now, as a starting point, you are here, right? Imagine this is a timeline, and on your journey, you're wanting to get to, say, 100K per month, right? I think that's a reasonable figure for anyone to achieve for. It's doable in this day and age for most consultants and coaches, because there's such a big demand out there. But here's the thing, right? There's a big but. And this is the thing that most people fail at. They don't have a successful business because they're not prepared to do this, right? To get to this point is like a VIP status. Not everybody can accomplish this. And the very first barrier to that for most people is the cost of entry. Cost of entry. So you can imagine you're wanting to get into a VIP club. There's this big bouncer at the front door, and he says, you want to come in? You got to pay an entry cost. What is that entry cost? The entry cost is time, effort, and money. There is no way to get to having a world-class successful business without paying the cost of entry. And the cost of entry is the amount of effort, money, and time you're prepared to put into it to make it happen. Most people fail because they don't want to pay the cost of entry. That's a fundamental barrier. This is why most people fail. There's a cost of entry. Oh, it's too hard. I don't want to do this. They go to a certain point. They get all excited about something. There's a bit of passion that happens. And then they get to this barrier. Oh, the cost of entry is too high. And they don't continue. So they're always losing out. The most successful people anywhere that I've ever met stay focused, right? They're focused. Focus is the key to having success. So when it comes to mindset, what am I going to do to make it happen, right? To pull yourself through this. The next biggest barriers that you're going to face, because now say you're prepared, say you pull up your big boy pants and you're ready to get stuck in, and you're going to challenge the status quo, you're going to challenge the world to build a successful world-class business, you're going to pay the cost of entry, whether it's money, time, or effort. You're at that point. So you've built your mindset to that. Now you get to this point where this is what happens to most people, is they're going to have fear of failure. As they're going through this, they've got there's internal battles that happen, and it happens to everybody, right? If it's happening to you, or if it's happened to you, it's okay. Everyone goes through this. Those that know how to handle this, that get to be able to enter the VIP club, right? Getting to that successful world-class business. Another barrier is imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome crushes a lot of people, and I see it all the time. Everybody struggles with imposter syndrome when they come to this type of level of wanting to coach, right? And fear of failure and imposter syndrome are really big hurdles that people need to get through, and I see it's the biggest barriers, and these are internal. If you know how to break through this, you're 99% of the way there. On the other side of the coin, on this side, is distraction. So fear of failure pulls people off their journey to success, and distraction is the other thing that pulls people off their focus to achieving their goals. Now, these are the two big barriers that you'll face, or sorry, the three. So cost of entry, fear of failure, and distraction. Your job as you're building or starting an online coaching business is to master these, right? Master that you're prepared to pay the cost of entry. Fear of failure is not going to hold you back. That distraction is not going to pull you off path. You're not going to keep chasing shiny objects. You're not going to keep going around in circles. You're going to stick with it, stay focused, and make sure you do what it takes to make this happen, right? And get to that point. So how do you do that? One of the biggest tips or advice points that I can give you at this stage is this, right? So there are 4 core layers in your life that you need to master. And when you can master these 4 core layers, you're going to be in that beautiful spot where you can be super focused and your dreams can become a reality. First of all, you want to look at your environment, right? What are the things around you that are stopping you from moving, that are pulling you off path? And when I say environment, that could be anything. It could be where you live. It could be how your life is set up, the things you have around you on your, say, your desk, the people that you hang out with, the people that you let in your life. How do you manage or deal with emergencies? All these types of things in your environment are an impact to you. When you learn how to engineer your environment and put your environment into perspective and organize it and make sure that there's no way that you can be pulled off path from that aspect, it's a huge starting point. I always say to people, look at your environment first, and then everything else will work itself out. The next component is how you think. Your thinking really runs the most of how your outcome of your life is going to be determined. Thinking is such a powerful tool. How you think about things, how you think you're going to make it through this thing. These thought processes are such a big tool to use to leverage focus, but it also can be devastating because it can pull you off path. When you start thinking the wrong things, when you start having these negative thoughts, there's voices in your head pulling you off path. Now, the best way that you can strengthen the way you think is by feeding your brain nourishment of positive thoughts, reading good autobiographies, being around people that are positive, being around people that are helping you get to where you want to go, and getting rid of all the negativities in your life. It's very simple, right? But yet so many people want to spend their days on Netflix, want to scroll through reams and reams and reams of Facebook feed, and they wonder why they're in a mess. The next layer up that you need to consider is emotion. I think by far, this is one of the hardest bits to struggle with. That's emotion. As you're starting and growing an online coaching business, emotion especially has to be a tool that you have to work on consistently every day, and it's relentless because emotion can derail you in a heartbeat. I think that most people on the planet struggle with handling the emotion. And if you want to become a leader and a coach and have people looking up to you, 100% believe that your emotion needs to be something you need to work on a daily and relentlessly religious basis to get yourself into a position where you can manage conflict, you can handle the people around you, you can live a better life, and you're not letting that emotion dictate how your day turns out. The last thing is what you do, how you do every day. The lists of items that you have, what you're prioritizing, what you're doing on a daily basis is going to impact everything, right? So many people run around and they pretend they're busy. They're doing all these things, or they're overwhelmed, or they haven't got control of it. If you don't have a specific way of managing your day-to-day running and what you do, it just puts you in a disarray, and it can leave you running around in circles, feeling overwhelmed and lost. When you get these 4 items, these core pillars in place, when it comes to your life, everything in focus just becomes so much easier. It really, truly does. If you've got a good thought process, if you're in check with your emotions, if you're doing the right things every day with the right priorities, and your environment is established in a way that is conducive to creating focus, this whole journey that you're going on becomes super easy. This is a very powerful tool. Understand this, utilize it, think about this, because focus is everything. Focus is the value that you have. All right, now let's talk about the $100,000 a month avatar. If you're building an online business, you obviously want to have success. You want to be looked at as an individual with status that can help other individuals grow, manifest, improve, go from one place to the next, transform, all those things, right? But not everybody is going to be suited to you. If you're educating or coaching or consulting in a certain space, this space might be your area, but very close to it is a space that you might not want to be in or that you're not suited for. So it's very important to be very clear about who it is you serve, right? And your service is so important. And there are avatars out there, billions of avatars. Obviously, these are humans, people, individuals. We call it an avatar because it's a kind of a segment of a group that we're aiming to target. But you need that target or that avatar to be able to at least make you $100,000 a month. If you're chasing your tail on avatars that aren't pulling you towards that goal or that revenue status where you could probably make a profit in this area, it's going to be hard for you to get anywhere. Now, some people say, I don't want to make $100,000 a month. I just want to make $10,000 a month. Well, that's fine. You can make $10,000 a month very easily. But if you're aiming for a $100,000 a month avatar that can even grow into $1 million a month, why not chase that? See where you go. If you want to stop at $10,000 a month, that's fine. I think this is a very good place as a starting point to be looking for what avatar is out there, what niche can I serve that's going to get me to at least $100,000 a month. When you get this right, it's a really very powerful and important building block to an entire business. You cannot really have success effectively if you don't have clarity on your avatar, who you serve, and knowing the confidences that they're going to get you there. So when you go into this journey, you need to define a path, right? You need to define a path. Now, defining a path means there is looking at those categories that I said before: wealth, performance, life and mind, and business. Inside of there's lots of categories and micro categories and subcategories, etc., that you can dive into. When you're starting this journey, define who that avatar is, who you're going to specifically serve. Where do they live? Location, right? Because location is important. Are you going to serve in the US, Australia, the UK? Globally, in that global location, is it the whole world or certain parts of the world? Location is key, right? Age plays a big role in this. Age is important because as a coach or consultant, knowing your age demographic is going to give you leverage, because you're not going to appeal to everybody. You're not going to appeal to the whole world. You're going to appeal to a certain sector of people, and knowing this age group is going to be a huge barrier. Like, for instance, in our real estate business, and this is an ethical decision that we made, we have a cap of the highest age group that we'll work with, and we cap it at 50. We don't believe that in our business and the real estate coaching space that helping people over 50 is going to be of benefit to them because of the short time frame in what we do specifically. Now, that age group has got a space in real estate. Of course, investing in real estate is important, but what we deliver in that segment wouldn't suit anyone over 50. So we got a tap-off point on that. And it's important to have that. It's a decision that we made, that we feel that if we were to serve people over that age group, we wouldn't be doing them justice in that specific business. So age is important. Then there's gender, right? Gender. Now at this point, when you're just kind of defining it and you're trying to understand who you're going to serve, these are the key ingredients you really need to just kind of be clear about. Am I serving guys? Am I serving girls? Am I serving both? Am I serving couples? Am I serving singles? And then knowing whether, and then ultimately the next thing is working out the client itself, right? So defining a path is something like this. So you got your wellness segment, right? So in wellness, it might be obesity, it might be stress, it might be debilitation, loss, all these kind of things, and you're helping people with their wellness stuff. Now there's a lot of categories in there that you can dive into. Now, if you're a person that wants to help people in a certain area and you're clear about that, then it's really easy. You know the direction that you're heading. If you're a person that's not sure and you're not clear about what this looks like, what your defined path looks like, it can be a bit overwhelming at first. And so what I would like to say to you is, if you are somebody that is still trying to figure out who the person is you're going to serve, take a minute, take a step back and see what's going on in your life. Take a snapshot of what you can see are the things that you want to help people with. I get clients that come to me and they have gone down this path because of, say, they have a family member that's struggling with this thing, and they've gone through this journey with doctors and psychologists or whatever, and they found that there's not this real support, or there's this missing gap. And because of what's happening in their lives, they've seen this missing gap, and so now they've turned this into a cause so they can help more people in this space, create an opportunity, and help more people get transformation. If this kind of thing happens a lot. In my instance, when I first started out as a coach, I had no idea, but I owned real estate, and my real estate was struggling, and it was weighing me down because it was costing me more than what it was making me at that stage. And in order for me to get into a better position, the tenants that were in the property, the contract expired and they moved out. And so we moved in and we got other tenants to move in with us. So we started sharing our rooms or renting out rooms in this property. This turned out to be so lucrative that we decided to do multiple of these. And we then set up 3 or 4 of these houses where we were renting out rooms for a profit. Well, it turned out that what we were doing was not legal where we're in the location that we were setting up. We had to get them registered, there were certifications, there was all this compliance stuff that was required in order to rent out rooms in a property, which was fine. But at that point, we didn't know. And what we also didn't know was that we got a lot of fines. We knew when we got the fines, we got fines, and the councils were quite heavily against us. So we had to figure out a solution, and I got quite upset at that time. So I started diving into regulations, speaking to people, trying to figure out what we could do to fix this whole mess up. And turns out, by accident, I stumbled across a shortcut or a hack or a way to do all of this stuff and set it up the right way without it costing me a fortune. And we did this. We set up our properties. They were all in cash flow position and we're in a good place. What happened was word got out that we'd done this. And so from this pain that we'd realized in our life, we created a solution. And from that solution, the word started going out. From that happening, we started teaching and educating. So we went into this whole coaching space purely from the pain that we had in our lives at that time, which changed our lives. And this was the journey that started everything for us. And so the first part is that we were passionate about real estate investors. We found a problem where there was cash flow and we could solve a cash flow problem and we could do it affordably in the area that we were living in based on the regulation that we were working around. And it helped to create a whole new business. Then we had to obviously go into the next layer of the business and actually set up a business. But the point of it, if we come back to this, I digress a bit, you'll need to define your path in amongst all of that. Be clear about it. I say, look at all of those, and we have a process where we do this. We help our clients do this in a meticulous, structured way to define their path so that they can get to the next layer. The next layer is this. You need to have a perfect client. You need a perfect client. You need the client that you want to work. You need to have clarity on who the client is that you want to specifically work with so that you don't get lost. They are going to take you to that next level. They're going to be the client that's within these defined path that's going to help you get to that place where you need to be. Anyone outside of that is no good for you, right? You've got to define that perfect client and take it to such a degree that it becomes your baseline of everything. When I got this right, when I decided who my perfect client was and I filled out, we got a process where we do this, their gender, their age, what they're thinking, their desires, their wants, all of those things that paint the picture of the perfect client, we now build a whole entire marketing around that. And it's made life so much easier to talk to our clients, easier to get the attraction, easier to get people in our funnels. It's just a world-class leap ahead when you know who your perfect client is. Then you need to be able to stand out. And when you're standing out, right, you know who your perfect client is. Now you need to know how to get them from there to there, right? From zero to hero. Knowing this journey, right? And it could be, it's having clarity on steps, right? The steps that they take to get there and how you get them to that place. So from zero to hero, when you're very clear about that journey for your clients and how you're going to get them there, then that's the next big stepping stone to getting you to that place of $100,000 a month. Now, there's a lot that goes into all of this, and we have a system that divines all of this and puts it into context. But this is a great place to be when you get all this stuff right. Makes everything in your whole marketing, the way you're looking at clients, the way you talk to clients, your sales processes, everything clear. And if you put it on a board where everyone can see this, your whole team, your staff, everyone is connected with this, it's just a super way to operate. And then finally, for a lot of people, they go around in circles trying to figure these things out, right? It can take a little bit of time, but when you get to that point and you're clear about it, you want to be able to validate. The best places to validate these is on Facebook, right? Facebook is an awesome place to validate your avatar and to make sure that it's going to get you to that $100,000 a month in revenue. And also, Google can also help, but there's an easier process to validate your avatar on Facebook. So these are the 4 components to creating and finding the perfect $100,000 a month avatar. We call that the Boldberry avatar. Right, now you know who you're going to serve. How are you going to serve them? You've determined who your avatar is. Now you're going to serve them or create a program whereby you can serve them. And all of your clients or your avatars or clients are going to be starting at a point where they're frustrated, they're stuck, they've got a barrier, hurdle, an objection or a fear, something that they're struggling with at this point, right? And then you want to take them to this point where they're going to have clarity and they're going to feel better, they're going to have a better life. What you need to do as a coach or consultant in everything you do, and this is a fundamental starting, like this is the building block of creating a $10,000 offer, right? You want to sell something for $10,000 or more, this is the building block. What you need is clarity. You need clarity to be able to show your clients how you're going to help them, right? So step 1, step 2, step 3, whatever the steps are that they're going to achieve that desired outcome, you need to paint that picture for them. When you can show clarity, when you can show people you have a process and a way from them to get from here to there, it increases the value of what you're delivering by 100-fold. So many people don't get this right, and so what they do is they constantly just selling people on this idea or this notion that they can help them, but they don't see the clarity. They can't see how I'm going to get there. Then people lose trust, they lose interest, they don't really feel confident working with you because you don't have a clear way for them to do this. So when you're doing your program, right, you're going to create a coaching or consulting program at some point, your training package, whatever it is, it's a way that you're going to get them to a place. And that provides the clarity. Then you have to take that, all those steps and pieces of the puzzle that you've created, that you're going to help them get to there. And we show our clients how to do this. It's a very cool process that we have to create what we call a magic formula. The magic formula is your special, unique thing, your magic, your secret sauce that you have developed in your style that is only uniquely yours. No one will be able to ever do this. That's when you create these big high ticket or platinum ticket offers that you can sell for 10K plus, right? And inside this formula that you created, which really comes out of these key steps that you've put together, you've got these ingredients that are going to go into your formula. And then when people are looking at these ingredients, they go, wow, that's an awesome way for me to get to where I need to go. Of course, I want to drink from your formula. I want this magic potion that you've created that I don't see anywhere else on the internet because you've given it your own special ingredients. I like to use this analogy of the supplement industry. Do you look at the supplement industry? It's nuts. You go to the shelf and you see all these different supplements, and you got the average supplements, right? The magnesium, calcium, vitamin C, all this kind of stuff. Then you go to these other shelves and they've got these super ingredients, right? These super supplements. And they're just a mixture of all the other stuff that are standard in a bottle, and now they're selling it for 10 times the price. They've added these little things, trademarks and all this stuff in the bottle. Now you think you're getting something super amazing because they've packaged it in such a cool way, and you wouldn't want to buy those other ones because this is assumptively the more better outcome, right? But if you had a whole lot of these other pieces together, you'd probably get the same thing. So that's how it's kind of came about, to understand that we are creating a unique formula that no one else has, and we're putting in these powerful ingredients. And time again, I see that people that do that have this formula process worked out, they have the most success, because this is such a valuable context to have when you're selling your coaching programs. Now, we teach all of this in our main program. I'm giving you the highlights of this, but when you get this right, when you have this super formula, and you can call it whatever you want, you got to name it. When you the naming process of this is very important as well. That's how you can get to sell these very big high-ticket, platinum ticket offers. Now, I've done this in all my businesses, and our first businesses, when I first started selling in the real estate space, it was really hard. It was really hard to get to sell even $2,500, $3,000, $4,000. But as soon as I created a formula which was unique, I jumped up to $15,000 packages. Now we're selling $25,000 and $50,000 packages because we've created this super helpful formula that helps people get to where they want to go. Hope that's helpful. Definitely take that on board. It's going to change your life when you do. Now let's talk about your status. As a coach or consultant, going online means you need status, right? And status is super important, because here's the thing. Right now, trust is at an all-time low, right? Trust is right down here. There is such a big barrier to entry, and the biggest thing is people need to trust. They need to trust you. And without trust, it's going to be very hard for you to get clients and build a world-class business. But here's the thing, what's really cool is that it doesn't take a lot of energy and effort to build trust. You just have to be consistent. And consistency is really creating content, putting yourself out there. Now, I know so many people go, I don't want to do content, it's so hard, I've got to put all these things together, do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. Yes, I get it. Doing content isn't easy, for sure. However, when you have a system in place and you know exactly what to say, how to say it, and putting the pieces of the puzzle together, it changes everything. Being able to get in front of the camera and talk about something without having to think about it is very cool. And so what we do with our clients, and I would suggest thinking about something like this, is we create, I call this an Echo Infinity board, because ultimately we're trying to echo trust. And on this board, there is core components, right? Now, we have our specific stories that we tell. These are really repeatable stories that you'll always have as a toolkit that you can work from. Then you have all these pieces of ammunition, like parts of that story or parts of your puzzle that you put together that you can always draw information from. And we have a whole lot of them. We have like 30 different pieces that we put together. That helps create total clarity and creates your content infinity engine. And we have actually 3 pillars. And on these 3 pillars, we lay out a very structured way of doing content, right? And in these areas, you place out all your ideas. And so you'll never, ever run out of ideas to talk about. You can take these and then you put them into either ads, short posts, long posts, doesn't matter. This infinity engine will provide you with enough resources and inspiration to do a bazillion videos based around a specific context, which ultimately fits in to how you're helping people, right? So that whole infinity engine provides value from this. So you're bringing in all of your clients into this whole component so they understand exactly what you're delivering. Same as what I'm doing here. So this infinity engine is a huge way to increase trust, right? And it increases your trust. And where you do this is on YouTube and Facebook, right? Now we have a very detailed system for how to put this all together, how to make it work really easily. And when you do this, it's just phenomenal. Every time you want to talk about something on the internet, on YouTube, Facebook, whatever, you can just pull up one of these cards and you got something easy to talk about. Whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, whatever, your infinity engine just helps you create that. And then when you're going onto Facebook and YouTube, it's just really easy. You can grow a channel rapidly fast. We grew one channel in 90 days to 3,500 subscribers, right? YouTube channel, 90 days, 3,500 subscribers. It was super powerful, just following this simple system. Now you need status. Status is a vital part of growing an online business. The more status you can show or trust you can build, the easier it's going to be for you to build a coaching business. This is one of the cost of entries that you'll have to pay to really build a world-class business. Because if you don't do it this way, somebody else is doing it. There's people coming onto the YouTube, onto Facebook all the time, showing their credibility, showing how they're doing stuff. And so if you can do it the right way, it's going to give you leverage. And if you're in a specific niche, and there's the thing, right now on YouTube, there are so many niches that are untapped, that haven't been even touched, which I see all the time. It's crazy. No one's really diving into this. And you could grow a business so rapidly if you just follow the process. YouTube right now is probably one of the most reliable and growth accelerating platforms for coaches and consultants if you use it correctly. Now finally, as an online coach, you're going to deliver, right? You're going to have a delivery of your product. That means that people are going to come to you and you're going to serve them. And in that service, you've got to make them happy, right? They've got to be happy about what you're doing. Now we have a system called Love Boost, and it goes something like this. Now, in order to make people happy, right, when you're getting them over the line, they're happy with your offer and they want to do business with you. We can just imagine that this is a calendar, right? Now on a calendar, what you need to have is structure, right? Structure. Structure is very important. The days, times that you're available, and the length of period that you're working with them, that they can get the result, right? What does that result look like in structure? The next thing you need to have is this clarity, right? You need to have clarity on the journey. What does it look like to get from A to B? If you have those steps in place and people have see that idea of what it takes and they know they've got to go on that journey, right? And you've painted that picture, it makes it super, super, super cool for your clients, and they're going to love that journey. So structure and clarity is the core components for delivery. That means having steps aligned, making it nice and neat so that people know what's next, what's next, what's next. Easy access. If you provide easy access and people can get results quickly, like if they're struggling with a problem and they need an answer to a question, then they need to be able to get to you quickly, easily, and efficiently. If you provide that, that's going to be really huge. Now, with structure, you're obviously going to be delivering on your value. So that means oftentimes one-on-one coaching or group coaching. I recommend group coaching. One-on-one coaching is very onerous and time-consuming, and you can't really scale with one-on-one coaching. And then finally, you need to have a feedback loop, right? Where you can have your clients having a discussion and letting you know what they do and don't like about your program. Feedback loops are super important. This is one of the most critical components of your delivery, because you send people through your program. Maybe you've had your first client, your second client. You have a discussion with them. What do they like? What do they not like? How can you improve? Then you take action on that and you fix it up. The next time a client comes through, you've improved on that. You do the same thing. Feedback loop. What else do you not like? And over time, you're just going to get better and better and better at delivery until ultimately you created this amazing advocacy. This is one of the biggest things that'll help you drive your business faster. There's people out there recommending you, referring you, and saying good things about you and giving good testimonial. That's a good place to be. These are very easy to put in place, but when done correctly, this is how you grow your business very fast, online, offline, whatever, because you're ultimately aiming, when you're delivering, you're aiming for advocacy. That's the key thing. Happy clients, get them talking about you, then you're going to grow super, super fast. That's how we did it, okay? Now, finally, before I go, I want to touch on these 3 very critical points. And if you take this home with you, and I hope you've enjoyed this video, if you have, please subscribe to this video. Helps me provide more value, gives me encouragement, motivates me. If you like it, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Excellent. Here's the thing. I want to close with this. And I want you to think about this for a minute, because it's very important. And when I got this, it changed my life. I used to run around in circles, worrying that I was going to not make it, fear of failure. I was getting distracted by a lot of shiny objects, chasing my tail for a very long time, too long. And a lot of people probably relate that with so much craziness out there, so much ridiculous information out there, it's very hard to find a clear pathway. But one of the things I kind of stuck onto me, and somebody once said this on the stage when I was at an event, that right now you have what it takes to have success. You have what it takes. You've got all the knowledge, skills, and experience in you to be able to create a world-class coaching business. You've lived a life, you've seen stuff, you've experienced stuff. There is nothing stopping you or holding you back from creating a successful business. You have what it takes. You just have to do it. Number 2 is your value as an entrepreneur, as a coach, as somebody that's going to run a business or create a business, build a business. Your value comes from focus. The more focused you are, the better the results are you're going to have. And this is a fundamental building block that once I realized this, it changed everything. And then finally, the last thing I want to leave you with is that in order to enter this VIP club, right, only a few people get to enter it, and it's only the few that pay the cost of entry. This is a special club for people who get to $100,000 a month in profit, and there's only a small percentage of people that do it. So, cost of entry, if you're prepared to pay that cost of entry, you're going to back yourself, if you're going to do what it takes to make it happen, then guess what? The entry is going to be easy for you. All right? Thank you. That's enough from me. It's been a pleasure talking to you and teaching you this stuff today. My name is Matthew White. Hope you have an awesome day. See you in the next one. Take care.